Hi everyone, it's Justin here, Voices for Voices. Thank you so much for joining us, whether you're watching, listening here in the United States or abroad in a another land. We are grateful to have you with us. Again, we are big goals are to reach over 300 countries, territories, provinces, and over 3,000 cities across the world on our way to help over 3 billion people over the course of our lifetime, my lifetime, and beyond. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking a moment or two out of your day to watch or listen or both to the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. If you could do us a big favor, give us a big thumbs up, like, follow, subscribe, share. All those things are free to do. And if you're able to, uh, reach out to maybe 25 your closest friends in your friend group. Let them know about Voices for Voices and share our show with them. With your help, we can make it to those goals. Remember, 300 countries, territories, provinces, 3,000 cities, and at least 3 billion people overall over the course of my lifetime and beyond. We're already at uh, well over 100 countries and well over 1,000 cities. So we are well on our way. We're over 33% there on those metrics. And if you're able to, we are Voices for Voices. We are a 501c3. We do accept donations. That's how our organization runs at all. That's how we're able to produce this podcast and TV show. We're over 435 episodes, which you're able to see uh, or hear. And we're just grateful to have you with us. You are the reason why we're here. And we want to say, once again, thank you. So there's my monologue. That's the intro. So how is everybody feeling today? Depending on where you live, right? The brighter the weather, the brighter uh, our outlook on things, on life, on what we set out to do today. And one thing I want to cover on this show specifically, because it's very I believe it's very important. I think you will too. So I overlook things sometimes. What does that mean? That means Justin is smarter than the average person. That's just not the case. And I take advantage of things. I don't look and see certain things, certain places, and but once I do, it's kind of like I go, okay, Justin, like you seriously just overlooked a huge resource in the community. And we are about helping people. We are about community. We are about reaching out and sharing sharing the good news, sharing topics, events, experiences that are good, bad, and different. and all that. And so what am I getting at? So in many communities, not all, but many communities, there is a library. And I know you may be thinking, here's this guy telling me I need to go to the library and pick out some books and read them. Maybe, but not really. That's not the full extent of why we're talking about that today. At least where in the general vicinity of where I reside, there's many different libraries, and two that I'm thinking of, and one that I'm gonna talk about in depth. And so why am I talking about this? Because you may not have access to certain things. You may not have uh, you may not have a dwelling, a house, an apartment, condo, where you're able to work on projects, things that we've talked about before. Maybe maybe there's a project or two that you've been thinking about doing, and for whatever reason, like, nope, I can't do that because I don't have access to blankety blank. I don't have a space that is quiet enough around, that is as close to an office like as can be. But for me, and for a lot of us, not everybody, we're able to get that at the library. So let me tell you a story. So, not too many years ago, I was part of an organization. And at that time, one of the big things for organizations, because we were looking for space where we could meet, talk about our goals. Uh, Usually it was in the evening hours, and so we might order food, and so the big thing was these shared spaces where, for a fee, remember this, for a fee, meaning you have to pay money, you could rent out a space in different size spaces, that 2 or 3 people, spaces that maybe 10 or 12. And so we were paying a fee. And I forget what the amount is. The amount we were paying only plays the part in this episode in that there was money, that there was a transaction that had to take place. We had to sign a contract and all these things. And so we started looking at our budget in areas that, did we need them? It was close to around COVID. And so what we were doing, and whether it was COVID related or not, again, I'm only recounting certain facts, so that's what I'm sharing. So I don't know if it was because of COVID or what, but we were holding our meetings on much like this, an audio visual program where the whole leadership team could sign in and we would have our meetings virtual. So it didn't matter where a person was, they could log in. The caveat is they needed an internet connection, which if they didn't have if they didn't have a phone, or if they were taking notes on their phone and still trying to be present for the meeting, or as I mentioned, maybe they lived in a house with a couple different people and maybe it was loud. Maybe there's TV or radio or music or band practice, you name it. And so we were holding our meetings virtually. So then we cut that item, that shared space that we were paying a monthly fee, and also where the shared space was, it was close for a couple of people, but then it wasn't for everybody. So that's just one thing that we got to think about. And so we thought about it and said, is it worth still paying this amount of money when we can be maybe more productive? Because if we're in a spot, maybe we can. Instead of, oh, let's order food and then what does everybody want? And then it's delivered and then we're chewing and we're eating uh, and all these things are going on and we're there to have a meeting. And so I bring up the library as an alternative. Again, I'm talking about my experiences. So I'm grateful to have two really valuable resources that if I just want to go and film a show or two, I just again I'm grateful to have two legs and two arms and 10 fingers, 10 toes, the two eyes, ears, mouth. Uh, I'm grateful, and so I'm able to get in my car, drive to the local library. So I take my show equipment and I go to the front desk when I get there. Park the car, get out, lock it, as we do, and go places. Go to the front desk, ask if there's any private study areas. Sometimes the answer is yes, sometimes it's no. Many of the times it's yes. There's at least one space that's available. And so right there, I have, has a door, you can close it, open it. And sometimes that's what our mind needs from the mental health standpoint. Sitting in quiet, call it what you want. We don't have to call it meditation. We can just call it like, I'm able to gather my thoughts together. And so there's certain times a day, certain days of the week where I'm able to think a little bit more clear and be a little more productive. And so that's what I'm doing is I am identifying those times for in general, for the most part. And so that's that whole getting better, the whole not the research, well, the research of I'm continuing to learn. And so maybe this week there's a certain time of the day that works better. And so that's when I'm able to do our shows. We have guests. I have to keep that in mind to make sure that the time and date is, mutually agreeable. But the library, I'll tell you what, I don't know when it was. I don't know how it came into my mind. Libraries have been around for as long as I can remember. And I don't know why I overlooked it. I don't know. I think part of it was I didn't know the full amenities that the library has. At first glance, my mind probably went where your mind did was, oh, you go to the library and that's where you go to check out books, read. But when we're looking for an internet connection, like a Wi-Fi, again, I'm speaking from experience. I'm able to pick up Wi-Fi at the library. Like some people say there's certain restaurants or certain other places that are able to pick up Wi-Fi, and some people go and work and do things there. So number one, we have a space if it's available that we can think. Number two, we have the availability of Wi-Fi. If we have a computer, podcasting equipment, etc. So those are two things, and those have nothing to do with books. We're talking about space. We're talking about Wi-Fi. It just happens to be available in a space where there's books, and it's called a library. There's also newspapers, magazines, and the one other thing that I didn't, I don't remember exactly when it happened, but I went to the library and I forget what I was going for. And this library also has musical instruments that you can rent. So if you want to learn guitar, banjo, there's all kinds of equipment that you can rent or check out for a week or two. Depends on the particular equipment or instrument. And so when I saw that, I was like, this is not the library that I remember growing up. And I think libraries, at least the ones I'm referring to, I think over time, they just evolved and added more things to be more attractive for the community. Yes, the library is paid through tax dollars, it's paid through grants. It's a community resource. In fact, some people may be in from out of town and they might just be wanting to look at different books and see what's in, and they may have heard about a book from a friend or a family member, and they just go to the local library and see if it's there, and then they can look at it, and if they're from out of town, then they just write that down and they wait till they get back home, and then they check it out of their own library. Or if they want to purchase it, they can they can also purchase it. There's nobody, what I'm getting at is there's nobody at the door that says, what's your address to walk through these doors? To check things out and to use the borrowed shared space that I was in our organization years ago, we were paying for a monthly fee, same setup. At least at the library I'm referring to. Some, 2 people, some 10 or 12, and all in between. And they have nice chairs. You just want to charge your phone, have access to the Wi-Fi. And so there's things that we overlook in our lives. And I'm the first to admit, and I have admit, I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. We all falter at one time or another. No matter how hard we try, we do. It's not because we want to falter. It's because we're imperfect human beings. So I can't do anything about that. I can just try to do my best, and so that's where this information is coming from. Is maybe you don't have a library that's close. Maybe where you're living at is quite a distance from the library. I don't I don't know. I'm just sharing from my experience about libraries and resources that maybe you knew existed or maybe you didn't. You say, Justin, like, oh, well, everybody knows that. Okay, that's good. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to help people. And so it's for that one person that doesn't know or hasn't tried or has said internally in their mind, I can't do this. I don't have a way to get all this put together. I don't have a place that is quiet where I can gather my thoughts. The library, it's not just books. The library, where you can do a lot of different things and they don't charge. If I go into the library, if all the rooms, all the office spaces that they have available, if they're all being used at a current time, well, of course, then I have to wait. If they're not and they're available, then they ask for my name, address, and that. They don't ask at the door, but for certain protocols, they may ask for address, but they don't ask for money. They don't ask for $100 a month. They say, "Oh, Justin, well, the library's getting whatever X amount in tax dollars." Okay. The way I look at that is, what do we spend? How many things do we spend that amount on? We go to the coffee shop every day of the week, or three or four. Coffee's $5, $6. You start adding that up, that's a lot of money. And maybe you like the taste, maybe you like that it helps wake you up. I don't know. I don't drink coffee, but I'm not against anybody that does at all. What I'm trying to say is it's free at that very moment. Nobody's checking your ID. You can walk in to your local library, get a library card, and your mind can expand. That neuroplasticity in our brain, those new areas, by just sitting. And whether we have a project that we're there that specific day, that specific time, or whether, again, just to have a little bit more quiet. Why not? Give it a shot. You hear me talk all the time about Voices for Voices and how we have a $0 budget for just about the most part. And so being thrifty and finding ways to cut costs that we would normally have to pay for, like a shared space. Like if I didn't know about the library and having those opportunities, if I wanted to go somewhere the same amenities of the Wi-Fi indoors, uh, I'd be paying a monthly fee, or maybe it's for their 1 day a week, 1 day a month. There could be different fees, different rates to be paid. And so we are here to help. And we know there's so many people that have projects, ideas in their mind, things they want to do. And so this is what we're doing today, is sharing a way that may be overlooked to do your thing. I overlooked for years the library. Why do I need to go to the library? When I was in college, made sense. But after that, it was like, well, I don't need to go to the library. They don't have anything I need. Actually, they do. A little bit of peace and quiet for an hour, 30 minutes, 20, whatever amount of time. Why not? Give it a try. And then if you have projects and things you want to do, you might say, oh, I got to type this up. I got to put this in an outline form. But I just can't seem to quiet my mind enough. Part of that is our mind and mental health. So maybe we reach out to a therapist or psychiatrist. If you don't want to do that, the next best alternative, NBA, go to the library, spend some time alone. Spend that quiet time. Go to church. Go to church and spend some time. Spend some time alone. You'd be surprised. I've been so surprised where I'm like, oh my gosh. Like the musical instruments part, I mean, they don't have a piano, but they have, it's surprising the different instruments and equipment they have. Uh, I was flabbergasted when I saw that. I was like, you can rent a banjo? You bet. And you can rent an acoustic guitar, and then it'll have a tuner, so you don't have to try to find how to tune. You just figure, okay, here's the top string, and here's where it needs to be, and I wait for the arrow to go in the middle, and then I go to the next one, and you do that 6 times, and then it's all ready, and then you can just play. Don't have to be some huge rock star musician. Just the sound of music can help us in ways we just don't know until we do it. So the library, that's been the topic of this episode today. Thank you for joining us. We love you. We're thinking about you. If you're able to, as we mentioned, we are a 501c3, a nonprofit. If you're here in the United States, uh, your donations are 100% tax deductible federally. And you can do that at voices4voices.org. You gotta spell the word for. not the number 4. You gotta spell the word for. So that's voices for voices dot org. Voices for voices dot org. And if you want to go straight to the donation page, you go to lovevoices.org. 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 Spelled out LOVEVOICES.org. Thank you so much. It's been a blessing to be with you. We'll see you on the next show. If you can let 25 of your closest friends do a group chat, follow us on social media. We're everywhere. Voices for Voices. We are number 3 behind the Dan Bongino show and the Joe Rogan Experience. So we are small, but we are mighty. We'll see you next time. Take care. Stay safe. And thank you so much for joining the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. I've been Justin Allen Hayes, the host of the show. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.